Okay, all right. Tal Oren. This is 6 months ago, but I haven't seen this. I think this still is still relevant today because Candace Owens just fucking keeps going down some weird ass fucking rabbit hole. Right. Get ready for some Hezbollah. All right, Hezbollah, whatever. I think I understand what Hezbollah means, which is basically like explanation in Hebrew, right? I think is that what people say Hasbara because I'm explaining stuff, but I'm a Jew, so I'm doing Hasbara because the meaning of Hasbara is explaining. I guess it's something that makes sense to me why it's called that way. But anyways, Tal Oren, Traveling Club, talks about Ken Sowens. Now I'm not gonna go through all of this, and we're gonna go at double speed because he speaks pretty clearly. Let's see what he has to say about Miss Christ is King weaponizing the Lord's name in vain.
You may see me referencing my screen down below, and that's because I'm reading notes that I painstakingly wrote in response to Candace Owens' video. Candace, my name is Tal. I'm a descendant of Mizrahi Jewish refugees from the Middle East. My family was violently kicked out and dispossessed from 4 different Islamic nations. These are nations that they called home for thousands of years before the rise of Arabs or Islam. My family inhabited these lands before the modern manifestation of Nazi-backed anti-Semitism, and surprisingly, yes, I am not an Ashkenazi Jew. I am not white. But even my family, my grandparents Miriam and Ezra, who were born and raised in Baghdad, Iraq, were affected by Hitler's Holocaust. You see, in the early 30s, in Iraq and around the Arab world, Arabs and Muslims were openly embracing Nazi ideology. Mein Kampf being translated into Arabic, and even Arabic Nazi-esque Hitler youth groups were popping up in places like Baghdad. All this led to the Farhud, which took place.
It's really funny to me because I'm reminded of this video. So I was debunking this crazy guy, Bed and Panada, fucking insane guy. I was debunking his video debunking the H3 content nuke on Hassan, and he said something there which I found really funny. That you see these Hezbollah guys and Hamas guys, and they do like the Hitler salute, right? And he's saying that it's like they're not doing the Hitler salute, whatever, I forgot the name. They are doing their military salute, which has been their standard since 1930s. What else happened in the 1930s that would reference that salute? It's so fucking funny, bro. And he's like, it has nothing to do with it. What do you mean? They were making deals with Hitler. There's literally like a picture of Hitler and like one of the leaders of like, I don't remember who it is, right? One of the Arabs, right? Making deals to kill Jews. What are you talking about?
Place in June 1941, a deadly pogrom against the Jews of Baghdad, Iraq, which sent ripples through the Iraqi Jewish community, which had existed in Babylon, in Iraq, for 2,000 years. This is how my family made it to Israel. My family didn't come with money or with riches. My family restarted their life in Ma'abarot, literal refugee camps in the deserts of Israel. Over 900,000 Jews from North Africa and from around the Middle East were ethnically cleansed by the Arab Muslims, alongside actual Nazi ideology that manifested in Germany and Austria. 900,000 of us were ethnically cleansed to this land, and I am but one descendant living in Israel of those very people. That is our story. That is the story of the Mizrahi Jewish people. And we, contrary to your belief, make up a massive fiber of Jewish society here.
Here's the funniest thing, though. Everybody, and I said this in a different video, everybody for some reason thinks that, all the Jews in Israel, not all, but like a majority of the Jews in Israel, are like European descent. You guys are fucking crazy if you think that. Okay? When I came to Israel in 1991, we were not only a minority in our like towns, in the kibbutz, and then in the town that I lived in, it was actively like people were actively racist against you for coming from Europe as a Jew. Vast majority of the people I interacted with growing up in Israel, like throughout my childhood up until 15 years old, were not European Jews. There were a good chunk, sure, and those were like my closer friends because racism, right? But and you actively had war. Like this is how much racism went. You actively had like factions of like the Russian Jews, other Eastern Jews, which was practically none. I think we had like one German. I don't think we had any French Jews. I think we had one German Jew. But like one descendant of Germans who is a Jew. Okay, in like the whole school, right? Vast majority of the Jews, of the Eastern Jews that I knew were like were Ukrainian, Russian, and then very rarely you meet like a Polish Jew. Okay, but they were nowhere near a majority. They were like a dime a dozen. Like sorry, they were like a dime dozen is like the opposite of like minority, right? They were like pretty. I wouldn't say rare, but they were not the majority at all. Okay, not even close to half. But I don't even think 30%. I think 30% would be an exaggeration. Okay, so like when you say it's like, oh, they're all like fucking, they're descended from Europe. Oh, like Bibi Netanyahu is Polish, and that represents all of Israel. You're retarded. Vast majority of the fucking Jews in Israel, especially the ones fucking, I'm just kidding about that one, are from like Middle Eastern areas and Africa. Okay, they're not European.
Here in Israel. Actually, we are a majority of the population of this beautiful nation, Israel. Yes, the same Israel that you've recently become an observer of genocide in. And if anybody's confused about Candace Owens' groundbreaking thoughts, I thought I would read you some that I've compiled here online, as her recent tirade of anti-Semitism has begun. Owens recently claimed that Judaism was a P-word-centric religion that believes in demons and child sacrifice. She also added that she is waking people up to the fact that P-words are in power. On August 17th, Owens posted a roughly 1-minute video to X in which she accused Israel of being behind the assassination of JFK and warned that criticizing Israel could result in being killed, most likely talking about Jews. She also added that there is a group of people in this country, meaning America, who can just keep lying on people, trying to ruin people's lives, and there's no accountability, because then you just get to flip it and say, oh, it's anti-Semitism. It's the fact that when things happen on our soil and we find out that there is potentially Israeli involvement, we are basically hushed up and called crazy. Owens also promoted blood libel conspiracy, the false charge that Jews use the blood of Christian children for ritual purposes. That's an old classic.
This is the best part when he says that. It's like, well, Candace says that like as soon as like the Jews are involved with something, or like to the least amount, and you mention it, you're called crazy. No, you're not called crazy because you mentioned that a Jew might be involved. You're crazy because you straight up say the Jews are 100% at fault. There is a difference between maybe there was involvement by the Jews or Mossad regarding the JFK assassination. You can say that it's like there are some suspicions there versus saying Mossad was responsible for JFK. There's a slight leap there, you know? But the problem is, like, even when you say that's like, because here's the problem. When you say stuff like the Mossad might have been involved, but you only focus on that aspect, you're not giving me like a list of possibilities of like 10 things that like could have been involved with the JFK, right? Assassination. You shrunk your list to like, there is a possibility the Mossad was involved. No other options. Most people that are listening to this and take you seriously would be like, the Jews are involved. The Jews are responsible. Because like you didn't even give them options that are like as feasible or more feasible.
To Candace Owens. She also said on a podcast, the reason why this particular episode is so detrimental to Zionism is because they have polluted American minds to believe that we must defend Israel out of morality and the evils of the Holocaust. She also added that if you accuse someone who is Jewish of having more allegiance to Israel than they do to America, you are going to be in trouble. And addressing Christians, she said,
I don't believe the U.S. needs to defend Israel due to morality or any other bullshit. If they choose to defend Israel, it should be for their own benefit. That's usually how alliances go. Is it in the U.S.'s benefit that Israel is not only a destabilizing force, but a strong force in the Middle East? So close to also, like, pretty close to Russia, right? But, like, they have a sea apart, like, sea-ish apart, right? So close to Iran, so close to Iraq, right? Like, is there a benefit for the U.S. to be, like, to want Israel to succeed? Is this not a fantastic military outpost for the U.S.?
Be very careful if you're going to talk about how the Jews played any sort of role in the persecution of presumably Jesus. In some of these spaces, she went on to promote anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about the destruction of the USS Liberty. And a few days ago, she dropped a bomb.
Oh no, the Jews were involved with the prosecution of Jesus. You got some snitches, okay? So there were some Jews that were snitches, okay? Oh no, all the Jews are at fault because some Jews told the Romans to crucify Jesus, and the Romans listened because the Romans really loved the Jews. That's why they changed Israel to Palestine, right? Because they were so in love with the fucking Jews.
Bombshell interview with Phil Turney, survivor of the USS Liberty attack by Israel. In a pinned comment on this video that gained over 4.5 million views, she expands on her original hour-long video and says, I went through a unique hell this year for simply learning the truth about America's friend and ally and refusing to shut up about it. I've always been stubborn like my granddaddy. He was a man who insisted on hard work, his unshakable faith in God, and consequently, truth. I have no doubt that I made him proud today with this episode. I choose truth over money and power and threats. Phil Turney, thank you for entrusting me.
her granddaddy is rolling in his grave for how much she's been saying Christ is king by using it as an insult to Jews rather than what it actually is supposed to mean, that Christ is king.
Me with your story. You were a godsend at the end of this year because it made me reflect and realize that what I went through, in parentheses she writes, AIPAC's network of lies, smears, and financial threats was absolutely nothing compared to what you lived through. I'm in awe of you. Thank you for providing me with the necessary perspective. You were so young, I don't know how you did it. If I live my life with a fraction of your courage, it will be a good life. To all the veterans, you are deserving of so much more than our government has given you. I am broken to realize that left and right we are surrounded by cowards. But I am hopeful because in the end, Christ wins. He has already won. It's always funny to me to just drag poor Jesus, the Jew, by the way, don't forget that Jesus was a Jew, into all these random anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. But let's get into the comments of Candace.
I don't like that argument. It's like, oh, Jesus was a Jew, whatever. We're only focused on the bad Jews. Meanwhile, you have literal Jesus. Again, it's a valid argument. I'm just so tired of that argument. It's like, yeah, okay, he was a Jew. Okay, cool. Right?
One's very balanced, very non-anti-Semitic. We would never want to open a platform for the anti-Semites because we're not anti-Semitic. We're just anti-Zionist, and it's not just about the Jews. Even though Candace Owens, I think it kind of is about the Jews. Let's just make sure that we're not being labeled as anti-Semites, right? Let's just take a gander through the comment section. I'm going to look through diversely, right? Just through the last couple minutes to hours of the video. And it's 4.5 million views. Let's take a look here. First comment here by Terrence Oakes. Israel is the enemy. And Jay Lewis's response says, always has been. Okay, not so bad. Next comment by Gabe7120. Jews are not our friends. They've always hated us. They bought our politicians. A little more intense there, buddy. Then we got Bill Murphy, 6451. Wow, Zionism. The poor Jewish people and most Americans have been lied to about everything. The Arab world already knows the truth. A little pan-Arab Islamist revisionist history there. I like it. Harnudik 953 says, may the Jew be cursed in this world and the hereafter and brought politicians. There is a special place in hell for these crooks. Nah, I'd never say they're anti-Semitic. They're not anti-Semitic. It's just they only hate Zion.
May the Jew, the one Jew.
Yes. EGH181, ZOG, Zionist Occupational Government. Julianne Howley says, I did a little research. Lyndon Johnson's ex-president after Kennedy, maternal ancestors were Jewish. Surnames Emmett and Perrin. The line of Jewish mothers can be traced back 3 generations in Lyndon Johnson's family tree. There is little doubt that he was Jewish. Delm Associate says, the unleavened bread, which means the Jews, is obsessed with world domination. They're even using China as a stooge. So many wars are fought by Christians against one another and Islam against Christians, all to further the unleavened bread agenda. I love it. As Christians and Muslims have persecuted Jews for millennia, there's just no accountability. It's just the Jews who are in charge of it. Henry says, Jews don't believe in hell, probably because they call it home. Definitely not an anti-Semitic. Come on. Iqbal says, in the Holy Quran, the context is very clear about the Zionists. They have come on this planet for fasad, which means destruction and corruption on Earth. Now, over 8 billion people on planet Earth.
I'm not going to blame Candace Owens for the comments people leave on her videos. The only thing I can say is that people like Candace Owens are, for some reason, providing not only a safe space, but are like leading the charge for these people. And then she wonders, well, why am I anti-Semitic for stating Zionism is bad? Oh, I'm just asking questions. Oh no, that's Tucker Carlson, right? That's like, you are fastering this, right? Like, you need to do your due diligence to make it clear what you actually mean. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Not only she's not doing her due diligence, she kind of tells exactly what she means. But then when people are blaming her for saying exactly what she means, she's like, oh, no, not everything I say is anti-Semitic. Like, kinda. Like, kinda a lot of it is leading to that direction.
Witnessing live genocide. Over 30,000 babies and 70,000 families destroyed and killed in front of everyone. Why? Because they have come for fasad on planet Earth. Let's just forget the 500,000 Syrians killed by Arab on Arab crime. Or let's just...
If I use similar arguments to what Candace is using against Jews, right? I use similar arguments, but I replace Jews with like black people. People will call me racist right away. Right within like one video, people will be like, "Oh, he's racist." Even if I just stated facts, if I make it the whole video stating facts about evil acts that some random black people did in history, okay, people would just call me racist. Because I am focusing all of my fucking effort to portray black people, even though I'm just highlighting a few of them, but the emphasis of the video would be these black people are bad. The takeaway from this would be black people are bad. Okay? Which is obviously not what I think. But that is literally what Candace Owens does. When you spend video after video after video after video talking about the Jews, okay, in a negative light, you are actively being just, even if what you were saying has merit, which by the way, most of the shit she says is conspiratorial and has no merit, but even if all she was doing is stating facts, but all of her videos were just highlighting evil Jews, the takeaway that the viewers would have is Jews are evil. That's it. Like, that would be it. Because you are literally just portraying bad Jews. You are exposing people only to evil Jews. Meaning that's all people are going to think and remember.
Forget about the 300,000 Lebanese killed by Arabs, or the 300,000 Yemenis killed Arab on Arab, or the 580,000 Somalis killed Arab by Arab, or the 50,000 Sudanese killed Arab by Arab just in the last year. Let's just put all that on the side. It's not important, especially if they're Muslims. Timor421 says, yes, they were. Israel's created by the Rothschilds. It is a deep state-run country. Same people have controlled and run the U.S. for many decades. These are Khazarian Zionist mafia. They're killing Christians all over the world and control the Vatican as well to take out the Catholic.
There's the key word. Khazarian. I think it's Khazatarian, actually, not Khazarian. I think it's supposed to be Khazatarian. I love that conspiracy. It's a pretty fun conspiracy. You know, some royal family ran away when the Russians came and destroyed Khazataria, and the royal family vowed vengeance throughout generations, and they infiltrated a lot of like key institutions across Europe, right? And then they created this like church cult thingy in France. Oh man, it's a really fun conspiracy to get into. It's total nonsense, but it's really fun to get into.
Catholic Church. I'm praying justice on all those who have done horrible things to our military and civilians throughout the years and all around the world. There's no anti-Semitic conspiracy theories happening in Candace Owens' community at all. Kirshen says Israel has always been a terrorist state. Retro Mama says Israel is the greatest threat to world peace, for sure. Like, definitely not the Arab world colonizing 400 million people and spreading Islamic racial supremacy in the Middle East, North Africa.
Hey, Tal, you are wrong. Based on, I don't want to say Islam, but kinda. There will be peace when the whole world falls under Islam. Let's just ignore the fact that Islam kills more Muslims than any other country in the world. Muslims killed more Muslims than any other country in the world ever. But the fact is that world peace can be achieved if everyone falls under Islam based on them. Okay, it's the religion of peace. It just doesn't say how peace is achieved.
Now in Europe and America, that's not a threat. It's Israel. Israel. Stoic Barbarian. We are an occupied nation. Israel owns both sides. It's time for Americans to stand up. And Maida says, finally, people are learning. It's not the Arabs, not the Muslims. It's Israel. That's my favorite one, because as somebody whose family was persecuted by, yes, the Arabs and the Muslims, we take no accountability. It's always been the Jews. And don't...
Honestly, just don't even... I don't even care about who persecuted you in the Middle East. Open your fucking eyes. Look at Europe. Any country that had refugees from Israel remained peaceful. Any country that had refugees from any Arab world country did not have peaceful, like, there was no peace anymore in the streets. Okay? You can mass migrate all of Israel and they would live peacefully in your country, unless obviously Hitler 2.0 comes out, obviously. But like, they would adapt to your laws, they would live within their bounds, within their means, inside your country, and they would try to better themselves and their environment. When you bring people from, Lebanon, Iraq, right? Syria, sorry, I said Iraq, Syria, whatever, right? Even Iranian people are good people. Okay? You bring a bunch of people from Iran, they're fine. Why? Because they hate that regime. But when you mass migrate those people, I'm sorry, like, your peace is gone. They try to turn your country into the garbage that they fled from, that they're refugees from.
Don't forget, anybody who's watching this who is kind of on the fence, when they say Israel, they mean the Jews. When they say Zionists, they mean the Jews. And even if you want to argue at that point and say, no, not all Jews are Zionists, whatever, 95% of global world Jewry is Zionist. Over 50% literally required the state of Israel to exist in the modern day, like my family. Without Israel, we would have been killed. You see, Candace, we know about the tragic USS Liberty incident. Contrary to popular belief, us Jews, yes, even the gross brown Jews like me, we're not monsters or strange demonic creatures as you like to portray us. We are human beings, just like you. And like human beings, we make mistakes, many of them, over and over and over again. And we continue to do so every single day. I would be shocked if you were to walk the streets of Israel and ask people here if they support the idea of attacking American ships during the Six-Day War, and they reply yes. I would be shocked. It's because the people here in Israel love America. And we love America and everything the US has done for us. That is a known fact. It's a sentiment on the streets here in Israel. And contrary to...
I grew up, I remember my dream when I was a kid, people dream being Superman, whatever. My dream was to live in the US. As a kid, my dream was to live in the U.S. While growing up in Israel, my dream was to live in the U.S. Not like the U.S. back then, not so much now.
Your belief that we are controlled by some Zionist, Jewish, supremacist cabal of reptilian overlords that just want to take over the world, and us Mizrahi Jews or African Jews or any Jews of color are just the pawns in the game of the European Ashkenazi Jews. In reality, we Mizrahi Jews, we actually kind of run shit here in Israel. The culture, the music, the language, the fashion, the narrative, and God bless, from what it's looking like in the last year, the brutal war effort.
I fucking hate their music. I fucking hate Mizrahi music. It is so fucking bad. But they are controlling the market with it.
Candace, as you cozy up to the Arab supremacist Islamic colonizers to this region, you know, the same ones who have decimated the indigenous Christian populations in this region for the last 1,000 years, us Jews can only sit and watch as you slowly morph into the female version of Kanye West. And yes, I know you and Kanye drank from the same bottle of crazy juice that brought you here, but I just want to address this. The only thing us Israelis, us Zionists, are actually in control of here in Israel
You know what
is
I
how
find funny, and I'll probably leave this point because I think he made his point already. This is the funniest thing I find. For such a devout Christian like Candace Owens, I have never heard her say anything bad about somebody like Andrew Tate. I'm not saying go out and insult him. I'm saying talk about his way of living. Talk about, like, cause like she was just fucking like, you know, glazing him in the interview. Him and his brother, right? He admitted to have done what do you call it? Cam shows, right? He admitted to be an online pimp. Do you not see a problem with this as a Christian? You know? Just saying. Such a devout Christian, I don't know. I just wonder.